Hold on, make sure. It looks like yeah, it's good.
Okay, obviously because this lesson is for virtual students rather than your face-to-face students, it is a little different than a typical lesson. As you watch the video of your lesson though, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the absolute best and 1 being the opposite of that, where would you put this lesson?
I'd say probably 6 or 7. I feel like it's a little bit repetitive and just doing notes is not as fun. So I definitely have better lessons, but I do feel like I covered what I wanted to in the video. I just am not sure that it was the best way since it's, you know, new having to do this on video. So.
Yes, virtually, yeah. So what went well with the lesson? You mentioned that you got what you wanted.
Yeah, I covered all the material that I wanted to and made sure that, you know, I covered the standard pretty much the same way that I would had the students been sitting in my classroom, but I feel like I can't make it quite as interesting and as relevant when it's, you know, through a computer screen as I can when they're face to face.
Right, absolutely. What would need to change to make it closer to a 10?
Okay, that's the thing I want to work on. Really finding ways to give them that same information but make it more relevant and maybe find some different interactive things that I can consolidate, you know, kind of put into that so that way they can, I don't know, enjoy it a little bit more and, you know, make it more enjoyable, because that's the thing is I feel like in the classroom I try to find ways to make things, you know, enjoyable for my students when we're learning, and it's not just paper pencil, but I feel like a lot of this is right now.
Teachers, please release students who ride bus 01 and 48. Teachers, please release students who ride bus 01 and 48. Thank you.
And with it being 8th grade math, I know that's not the easiest thing to do. So what would need to change, what would your students be doing differently if your class was a 10? Well, you said if they were there.
Yeah, if they were there. If they were there, we could do a lot more hands-on things.
Right.
And so with them being on a computer screen, it's kind of hard. So I would say just for it to be a 10 virtually, adding in those interactive resources to
right.
make it, you know, so that they are interacting with me, and that way I can see as I'm teaching it that they're understanding what I'm teaching.
So tell me more about what that would look like. They would have more understanding, you would be interacting virtually, or you would be interacting at the same time with all students, which would have you all on at one time, right?
Yes, so possibly more Zoom calls, or, you know, ways to meet so that it's more like we're in class than them just watching the video at their own time.
Right.
So
now, is that something that you could do with all of the virtual students at one time? Would that be?
Yes.
Okay. So
it is. I've got to get better about getting them organized.
Right.
They've got to get more organized. But if I could, I'd really like to schedule at least once a week where we all meet, all of my virtual students, and then I could incorporate some different things that I actually use in my classroom, like playing Kahoot, where, you know, that's an interactive game where
right.
I can see that they have actually learned the material instead of me, like right now, a lot of what I'm having to do with them taking notes is just do a Google form or something that just asks them questions to make sure that they got the gist of, you know, what I was
right.
covering in the notes.
Okay. So how could we measure that change?
I mean, I guess really, one, I've got to do that, and then I guess really to see that they're learning the information, I'm just gonna have to find some different resources to make sure that I'm, you know,
right.
meeting their needs.
Right, okay. So would you like that to be your goal, to find additional resources?
Yes,
and
definitely.
to try to, okay. If you could hit that goal, would it really matter to you and your students?
Yes. I feel like it'll make a huge difference as far as their understanding and their wanting to work. You know, when you have students that are virtual,
right.
a lot of them almost feel like it's optional sometimes, you know, and
right.
so you don't know what they're actually getting and what they're not. So I feel like if I'm able to really make what I'm teaching them more relevant and more enjoyable, then I'm going to see that they're, they're understanding it more, and they're hopefully going to be more willing to work for me.
Yes. So what teaching strategy can you use to hit your goal? You mentioned Kahoots. That's not something though that we could do with?
I think so. I have not ever tried it, so that'll be new to me, but I'm pretty sure it is possible to do if I did through a Zoom call. So if I did a Zoom and had them, I guess maybe have 2 screens, then they could see the problem pop up and then they could answer it on there. So then I could use that to assess if they, like maybe still do the notes, but then have another portion where we're gonna practice what you just learned.
Okay, so it would be more like an in-class
Yeah.
where you've got the practice time so you can monitor their understanding as well. Okay, so I mean, you've pretty much told me what your next steps would be as far as going through and maybe figuring out a time for the Zoom and being able to do the 2 screens, and also it sounds like you've got kind of a plan for the future.
So we'll see how it goes.